Hello everyone, it's Aidan here from Push Square, and I've recently got to play through the opening prologue of The Outer Worlds 2, the upcoming Obsidian RPG that's heading to PS5 on October 29th. So, I've actually been quite excited for this game. I didn't really love the look of the first game. It seemed a little bit too cheap, almost. Like, I know it was a lower budget game, but for me personally, gameplay looked a little stilted, even if the RPG side of things were there. So the idea of a bigger budget Outer Worlds game was really appealing to me. So I recently got to play the game on the Xbox Series X. So not PS5, that means we're holding out for PS5 performance and DualSense implementation, maybe even a PS5 Pro version of the game as well. Those are things we still have yet to learn about. But the general feel to gameplay, the improvements to it, graphics, we know all those things now, so let's quickly break it down. So the opening prologue, I spent about 15-20 minutes going through all of the options for your character. You get to decide a character background, character traits and starting skills, and there's obviously the room to grow your character further or like advance them even more as you get into the game. So a lot of what I have played of this game is basically laying the foundations and assuming that those things will go on and continue to be great, cool features. But I have to say, from very early on, it is quite apparent that the RPG-ness of it all is very much at the heart of The Outer Worlds 2. In just the short mission that I played, I had doors I couldn't open because of the skills I'd picked, units that couldn't be hacked because of the skills I picked, and maybe dialogue choices that couldn't be spoken because of the skills that I picked. So from the very get, you have a multitude of things that are unique to certain builds. Now that is super cool to see from the very start. Whenever you're talking to different characters, that "this will be remembered" tag came up a multitude of times, which is, you know, it always reminds me of Telltale's The Walking Dead. But it's nice to see that so many of the RPG aspects of the game are there from, you know, moment one of this game, and I can only imagine and hope that those continue to be very much a fabric of this game as it continues on past the prologue that I played. From a story perspective, you are playing a commandeer of some sort of like government, you know, space initiative where you go and save people from tyrannical rulers and the like. So you arrive on this space station, there's this whole thing about taking over that. Yeah, I can't lie, I wasn't like super into the particulars of it at the time, but I do like those sort of just daft, highfalutin sci-fi premises, and I think it is going to be a really good vehicle to go and explore these future settings whenever we get to it. I certainly was like on board. Was it anything new? Not really, but you know, and therefore I think it was a solid foundation to the start of the narrative. And the whole tone of this, I think the trailers play up the humorous side of things, and I'm not a huge fan of all that, to be honest, but I think it was very well balanced in the actual game. But what actually impressed me, or what I really wanted to know about The Outer Worlds 2 when I started playing this game, was how does it look and how does it feel? Superficial of me? Sure, but those were the things that put me off the first game. I wanted to know that if a bigger budget game was coming out, does it improve graphics and does it improve gameplay? And the answer to both of those questions is yes. From a graphical standpoint, this game looks fantastic. I mean, a lot of the work is put in by colourful art direction in both external and internal locations, but I had a couple of moments with this where I was like, whoa, this looks really nice. On the Xbox Series X, there was a performance and quality mode option, locking the game at 30 and 60, so I played it performance mode and I thought it still looked really great. So obviously I'm going to assume that what I'm looking at is pretty much like for like of what the PS5 version will be, how a PS5 Pro enhanced version will look. Let's see, that I'm looking forward to see that. I think also from a standpoint of facial animations, facial character models and the like, they were really highly detailed. Not the best facial animation I've ever seen, but good enough, emotive enough, I think. I think it was better than something like Starfield, for example. Now, The thing though that really impressed me the most was the gameplay, because I think this plays like a AAA game now. It's got super smooth traversal, it has a really nice feel to the guns. I basically only played with a pistol, rifle and a knife, but each of those, you know, they had a bit of punch, a little heft to them, which was quite nice. So I'm excited to see how those more out there sci-fi weapons play into that, how they feel, especially when you're doing that with a DualSense controller and haptic feedback and the like. But I was really impressed by like how smooth and just great it felt to play. Every time there was a little combat encounter, I'm not saying I was great at the game at this point, and obviously limited arsenal, limited you know, gadgets and the like, but it felt fun. Like you could get to the point where, you know, like if you're in a Cyberpunk game and you're down the line. I was watching a friend of mine, Kyle, playing Cyberpunk, but he's such an end game, you know, down the line, overpowered, and he's just like exploding mines and jumping around, but it's so fun and cool. I got just little inklings that that could be, you know, the style of gameplay you're getting into here, where there's just a lot of fun and playfulness to it. So I'm hoping that's the case, but at least from a technical like feel way, like this is a massive improvement over the first game. There's not really too much for me to say, I don't think, because at the end of the day it was a really short demo, only took up about an hour from start to finish, but the groundwork is there, and I was already kind of excited for this game, and knowing that it's kind of answered my questions. That's really the thing. It looks better, it has better feeling gameplay, and those RPG aspects are still there. I mean, what more could you ask for? That is the hallmarks of probably a pretty good Obsidian game. That's the hope, at least. So let me know if you plan to play this game when it drops on PS5 October 29th. I certainly will be. And while you're down there, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more video content just like this. Anyway, until next time, I've been Aaron, and this has been Push Square.